Hey guys, it's Eddie from Nights Podcasting, and welcome back to a new segment on our channel. It's called Show Review, and basically, we review shows that come to our interests. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about the Netflix original Extracurricular. It's a South Korean drama that highlights sex trafficking and the gimmicks that occurs in a teenager's life. The show has a main character by the name of Oh Jisoo. And now, Jisoo is a shy, introverted kid that is also considered the ideal student. You know, like, he doesn't get into trouble, he has good grades, like match made in heaven, right? Well, not really. Jisoo is an orphan in which his mother has left him when he was young, and his dad is a drunken deadbeat who only contacts him when he needs money. So with that information, Jisoo quite literally has to take care of himself, and through that he gets his money by running a security service in order to make sure sex workers aren't being harmed. He runs the security service with an old man named Lee Wang-chol, or often referred to as Mr. Lee. Now you're probably wondering why Jisoo is doing all these things in the first place, and to answer that, it's quite unknown why he does it, considering he makes more than enough for ends meet. But you'll see in the show that it doesn't really focus on his job of hand of a security service. Rather, it's him and how other characters around him interact with one another. Now we meet Bae Guri. She is the complete opposite of Jisoo, and she's one of the main characters as well as Jisoo. She's very extroverted, and she comes from a very wealthy upbringing. However, plot twist is she's a bit of a psychopath. So she meets Jisoo from a school club that Jisoo was forced to be in by his homeroom teacher Mr. Cho. And from there, they meet up at a coffee shop to get to know each other more. And there's another character I'm about to introduce, another vital character named So Minnie. She's a high school student in which she tries desperately to fit in, whether it negatively impacts other people or not. Along with that, she's dating a boy named Kwak Kite, in which is commonly known to be only dating Minnie because of her body, and which is acknowledged by Minnie. However, she still dates him. And this entire time, this is going to be related back to the sex service thing. The entire time, she's been buying gifts for Kite through the money she's been receiving from soliciting herself to the sex service. And Jisoo is involved with that, in which he's not the one actually soliciting like clients to her, but Jisoo is running a security service in order for her not to get harmed or anything. But then, of course, a client came along that made everything spiral out of control. Jisoo is urged to excuse himself from the coffee shop and from Guri to prevent Minnie from getting, and he accidentally leaves his real phone there and takes the phone he deals with clients on with, which causes Guri to raise a suspicion of who Jisoo really is. I don't really want to give an entire summary of this entire show, but basically after that, Guri steals Jisoo's phone and forces him to confess his so-called quote-unquote side hustle that he's been doing this entire time. Jisoo at first doesn't budge, but after his dad one day entered his apartment and uncovered the savings he had from his quote-unquote work, he steals it, and Jisoo finds out, and his dad runs away. So Jisoo and Guri finds out, of course, and tries to hunt him down. Turns out his dad spent all of his money on some sort of pyramid scheme, and now Jisoo has to rely on Guri, who is in fact rich. So he needs to rely on Guri to really keep his business alive. Now I really want to talk about the complexity of the characters, because if you boil it down, it's kind of like a a very taboo, dark coming of age story. But what makes this show so special that is that even though the character tropes are a bit cliche, you really get to know the characters instead of like just being like, oh yeah, he slash she is that, oh, is the person who did that. I'll give an example. A prime example is Yuri, for a fact. And at face value, it really just, I kind of cringed at like her like backstory in the story, but she's like portrayed as like some depressed teenager who doesn't want to be in the shadow of her parents despite her having all the money in the world. But we get to see how far she'll go to distance herself from her parents. Like, she doesn't need to be running a security service for sex workers. She has friends, she has money, but come to find out, it's much deeper than that. Another character I really want to talk about is Minnie, and I really feel like her character was just made to be disliked. And at first, I disliked her as well. I watched her like 2 times, but she persistently tries to volunteer herself in sex work despite her having, she's a high school student, so that's like illegal. But she has many negative experiences, and she often throws people under the bus around her when things start to get sketchy, like the police getting involved and trying to make her confess to what happened when she almost got. But come to find out, she really has no other option. Her parents are unknown in the show, and she relies on the social hierarchy of like dating somebody, like doing drugs, things that teenagers often do to fit in or be cool. She's not mentally stable, but still tries to solace herself in order to please someone she really doesn't even like. But if you're asking like why doesn't she stop now, like if she stops now, like the sex service, in her eyes, she won't have anywhere to stay, considering she relies on basically her pimp to give her a place to live. Now finally, let's talk about the main character, Jisoo. He's perceived as not the type of person to do the things he's been doing, like running a security service for sex workers. But in the beginning, he states also, to back this up, his future aspirations as being like average. He's gonna have an average job, like an average family. He's gonna live an average life. He's gonna have an average death. But what makes his character so fascinating is that he's really not that type of person to do all the things he's been doing, but he still does it. But he would often have outbursts of anger or passion in order to keep his business afloat. But we come to realize it's mainly a fight or flight response, and he's really only doing those things such as defend Minnie against the police officers because it's in his self-interest to do those things, so he won't get sent to prison, well, he won't get in trouble for that. But we come to realize who Jisoo really is. Jisoo owns a pet hermit crab that is literally the representation of himself. When hermit crabs are in danger, instead of defending itself, it will climb into their shell and hide. And that's exactly what Jisoo does when he's in trouble, with the police, for being involved in a sex trafficking case. Jisoo is an average human, being just like hermit crabs are average sea critters. But the similarities between them is when they're both put in tough situations, they'll hide. Extracurricular is a masterpiece, and I suggest you guys watch it. And I'm assuming if you're listening to my voice right now, you're in a school of some sort. So I feel like it really relates, not relates, but it dives deeper into a more darker slash taboo side of a school environment. And yeah, this has been Eddie in Nights Podcasting, and I'll see you guys next time.